So the cars head out onto the circuit for the opening round of the 2015 Championship, and it will be a magnificent 29-car field. We were originally hoping to have a few more, but Robert Way had to withdraw after injuring his hand a week before the race while building his new car, of all things. Ed Straw as well, the Autosport Formula 1 editor, was hoping to drive, but they couldn't get him fitted correctly in the car. But we do still have 29 cars, and what a quality entry as well. It's not just the quantity of the field that's increased over the winter, but the quality as well. Of the drivers entered into the championship, there are a good 10 or 12 potential race winners, and there aren't many one-make championships that can boast that, so we are in for a fantastic season. It is Alan Henderson. Pole position is on the right-hand side here at Silverstone, so it's Alan Henderson's white car that has the pole, with Liam Murphy alongside him, Clements and Harding, then Coombs and Aspinall, with James Blake Baldwin and Russell Tamplin on the fourth row of the grid. George Lyon and Simon Goddard round out the top 10. Others to pick out further back. Watch for Will Chappell in the green number 4 car, coming from the 8th row, and Jonathan Greensmith, 20th on the grid, the two-time Mazda MX-5 champion, will be looking to improve after his mechanical gremlins in qualifying. Gary Townsend was the man who tangled with James Blake Baldwin in qualifying, so his times were disallowed and he has to start from the back of the grid. But the green flag at the back of the grid is now waved, the 5-second board goes out, and in a few moments we will be racing in 2015. Henderson and Murphy on the front row. Who gets the best start? The lights go out, away we go, and it looks like a pretty even start for both of the front row men. That's James Aspinall in the Paul Sheard car, weaving backwards and forwards, and that was to try and find a way past Jack Harding, who didn't get a brilliant start, but it's Alan Henderson who snatched the lead heading through Copse Corner for the first time, with Liam Murphy in second. It looked like JJ Clements was third. Yes, he is, and now he's going for second place up the inside, and Liam Murphy gets it all locked up. Murphy gets sideways, tags the back of him. Oh, and Murphy spins. Murphy spins in front of the pack. Does everybody miss him? Oh, yes, just about. That's Jeff Gurrier who nearly hit him. Oh, more spinners. That's Andy Coombs. Oh, and contact between Adelaide Ferrari in the yellow car and Michael Lawson in the silver and blue, so that's done quite a bit of damage to their cars. So drama already. It's Henderson leading the way. Jack Harding is second, third place for James Blake Baldwin. James Aspinall is side by side with Simon Goddard for fourth, and Goddard ends up on the grass and gets very, very sideways in front of the field again, and JJ Clements nips past John Davies and Russell Tamplin there, so the 88 car one to watch as he tries to fight back after being caught up in the Liam Murphy spin at Beckett's. Well, the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup is well and truly back, and we have had a very dramatic start to the race, but Alan Henderson already 1.8 seconds clear of the field at the end of the opening lap. Through Copse Corner they stream. There is JJ Clements running very wide. He tries to recover and find a way past Simon Goddard. Down towards Beckett's they go on lap number 2. Struggling to see Liam Murphy down towards the back of the field. He has a lot of work to do to get back into the decent points positions. Through Beckett's the field goes, and it is James Blake Baldwin to second place as JJ Clements for the second lap in a row runs very wide at Beckett's. That time though he was not forced out there, he just went out there because he was pushing so hard. So Henderson leading the way. That is the fight for second place. James Blake Baldwin and Jack Harding, then Aspinall fourth, Goddard fifth, with JJ Clements attacking up the inside line. Bit of paint is traded and through goes JJ. That allows Will Chappell in the green car alongside Simon Goddard, but on the outside line through Luffield, that actually opens the door for John Davies. So John Davies gets through on the inside, heading out onto the pit straight. Behind them, it's Russell Tamplin and Adam Brindle who are having a good fight just inside the top 10. With Jim Hart, though, the only thing he's fighting is his car, because it looks like he has issues, we believe overheating problems, forcing Jim Hart out of the race in the early stages. JJ Clements is a man possessed here as he gets up alongside James Aspinall. He'll have the inside line down towards Beckett's, and yes, makes the move stick. So fourth place now for JJ Clements, and in front of him Jack Harding gets out of shape into the right-hander, and through into third place now goes JJ. So JJ Clements, having been a regular front runner in the Mark 1 Championship last year along with Alan Henderson and James Blake Baldwin, is now back into third place, and going up the inside now of Jack Harding is James Aspinall. Jack needs to be careful he doesn't get hung out to dry here, because with a big line of cars right behind him he could easily end up losing several positions. Aspinall goes through wide for Harding, and that allows Goddard through. And now John Davies goes up the inside of him, so that's exactly what did happen to Jack Harding. Once you lose one position in this racing, you can very easily lose 3 or 4. He finally slots back into line, just behind John Davies, just in front of Will Chappell. It's a 7th place now for Jack Harding, but in his first ever car race, after a few seasons of karting experience, he's still doing a very, very admirable job. There is James Aspinall in the Paul Sheard run number 20 car, a little bit squirrely out of Copse corner. That allows Simon Goddard to get alongside down towards Beckett's corner. Did he make that one stick? No, he didn't. And in fact, it's John Davies who's attacking Simon Goddard at the inside line, makes it stick. Jack Harding in the 195 car tries to find a way through as well, but can't do it. John Davies does manage to progress a further position up the order. Back down the Wellington Straight, and JJ Clements, you can see, is bridging the gap to the 2nd placed James Blake Baldwin car pretty rapidly here, so he's going to be challenging for that 2nd spot by the end of the lap, I reckon. There is Goddard and Davies in the 2 silver coloured cars. Darker car of Goddard ahead of the lighter number 33 of John. Simon Goddard, another Blendini prepared car, as you can see from the logo on the right on the side of the car. Tom Roach's Blendini squad, which has had so much success in Mazda MX-5 racing. But it's the AK Automotive team of Alan Henderson that leads the way and is continuing to stretch the margin now. He's lapping consistently a few tenths quicker than anybody else. There's Liam Murphy trying to fight his way back through. He's in a good fight with Jonathan Greensmith. He's the blue number 9 car just in front of him, and if those two can get themselves together, they could work through the field. Greensmith has struggled, I think, to get to grips with this Mark III machinery quite as quickly as he might have liked this weekend, but in a race situation he can be as quick as anybody else, so we'll see if he and Liam Murphy can work together. But not working together are James Blake Baldwin and JJ Clements. JJ goes to the inside into Brooklands, gets his nose ahead, and James Blake Baldwin, I think, realising that at this early stage in the race, we're only just past 1/4 race distance, there's not really that much need to fight this one too hard. He's still tapping some Morse code onto the bumper of JJ Clements as they head through Luffield though, so he's not content to just settle into 3rd place just yet perhaps. Still James Aspinall heading up the next group in 4th, and of course if these two work together, not only could they potentially catch Alan Henderson, the race leader, but they could pull away from the group behind as well. The last thing they want is for the Russell Tamplin-led group to close in and make that a 4 or 5 car fight for 2nd place. Back out of Copse corner, Simon Goddard attacking James Aspinall for that 4th position, with John Davies, Jack Harding and Will Chappell in behind them. JJ Clements throwing the car around, and it leaves the door wide open for James Blake Baldwin to get back up the inside line through Beckett's. We heard Jonathan Greensmith saying before the race that you need to treat these cars with a little bit more respect and not throw them around quite so much. Well, no one told JJ Clements that little bit of advice, because he is absolutely throwing that car around and it's costing him speed. James Blake Baldwin goes to the outside line into the left-hander at Brooklands, but it's very tough to hang around the outside through there. Look to the inside line into Luffield, but there wasn't quite a Mazda MX-5 sized gap left on the apex by JJ Clements, and so the 88 car will stay ahead. Behind, Goddard is now 4th, ahead of James Aspinall 5th, so those two have swapped around. This Silverstone National Circuit with its long, wide open straights and fast sweeping corners really lends itself to this great slipstreaming action that Mazda MX-5 racing is renowned for. And it was the slipstream that James Aspinall was using to try and get back up the inside of Simon Goddard for 4th. Did it work? Answer, yes. So Aspinall, just as quickly as he lost that 4th place, retakes it at Copse corner. Up towards Beckett's they go. Anyone going to make the move this time around? No, they stay single file for the time being. JJ Clements into 2nd place. JJ is carrying the name of his father, Chris Clements, who sadly passed away last year. So he's carrying a touching tribute to his late father and would love to get himself a podium to start the season off in style, but also to pay proper tribute to his father, who was always very supportive of him through the early part of his career. Liam Murphy is continuing his charge through the field. He gets past Adam Brindle. Next target is the yellow, white and red car of Russell Tamplin, car number 93. So this will put Liam Murphy on the fringes of the top 10 now. So you will score points as long as you can finish a race. You will score points in this championship because the further up you are, the more points you score. And if you're going to put together a serious championship campaign like Liam Murphy hopes to do, you need to maximise your points haul from every weekend. He does get past Russell Tamplin into Copse Corner, and that is another couple of crucial championship points gained then for Liam Murphy, who won both of the final 2 rounds at Donington Park last year and was really looking to carry that momentum through into 2015, but it hasn't quite got off to the start he would have hoped for. In behind, Jonathan Greensmith has not been able to go with Liam Murphy, so he's fending off a gaggle of cars outside of the top 10. Russell Tamplin has ideas of attacking Liam Murphy once more into Brooklands, but Liam was late enough on the brakes to see off that particular challenge. Up ahead, you can see it's JJ Clements still second with James Blake Baldwin third. But they're starting to be caught, I would say, by the next little group of cars, and we're still just over half the race to go. There's plenty of time for the order to shuffle around quite a bit more. Here is the Jonathan Greensmith fight. The next car behind him is Ben Webster in the number 74 machine. The Concord Motorsport car, rookie novice cross on the back of his car, showing that he is relatively inexperienced in motor racing. He's going up against one of the most experienced drivers in the field, Jonathan Greensmith, in the SG Motorsport Candlebury MX-5 City entrant. Car number 9 there, the 2 blue cars getting themselves together. Speaking of getting themselves together, we could have 8 cars for second place before the end of this race, because that's really concertinaing together nicely up front as we now do tick into the second half of the opening round of the championship. Greensmith just about managing to keep Ben Webster at bay. In behind them in the white car is John Munro, number 23. Greensmith then has to take the defensive line down towards Beckett's corner. Uses a little bit of the curb, not too much though, not wanting to unsettle the car. And for now, he is managing to keep Ben Webster at bay, but Ben is clambering all over him, and this still isn't really the pace you'd expect to see from Jonathan Greensmith, so perhaps still some niggling mechanical dramas with that car. James Blake Baldwin takes a very defensive line down towards Copse Corner, meanwhile, as he continues his fight for second place with JJ Clements, who gets a good run out of Copse. Nearly such a good run that he clattered into the back of the number 3 car. But he gets to the inside line down towards Beckett, and it looks like JJ Clements will retake second place. Yes, he will. So through he goes, but in Mazda MX-5 racing, especially on a circuit like Silverstone, which, as I mentioned, has these long straights where slipstreaming is so important, it is almost impossible to break away from another car. And indeed, JJ runs a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, and James Blake Baldwin gets himself back through. Clements looks from the outside to the inside, almost unsettles the car a little bit too much as he headed down the inside line into Brooklands, but he does make the move stick. So JJ Clements, that was one of the best moves we've seen so far in this race, and there have been plenty to choose from. The car was on the edge of control as he darted from left to right and back to the left again on the brakes into Brooklands, but he gets second place back from James Blake Baldwin. They're not working together, and so consequently Alan Henderson is stretching that margin ever further. Clements this time is the one that has to go defensive down towards Copse Corner. Simon Goddard in 4th is only a couple of seconds back and starting to bridge the gap, so we'll need to keep an eye on him. The silver number 46 car, there he is, and if he can bring the queue of cars behind him with him, then we're in for a really great tussle throughout the final third of the race. Starting to get into some of the back markers now who had difficulties earlier on in the race. That is the patched up car of Michael Lawson, who, as you can see, has been into the pit lane to have some gaffer tape stuck to the front right of his car. Further back, Will Chappell and Jack Harding side by side. Chappell in the green car on the inside line. Harding going around the outside line. We'll try and get the switch back, and it might just work because Will Chappell gets all out of shape, hops over the grass, nearly clatters into the side of Jack Harding as he rejoins, but gets it saved. And it's not just going to cost him one place though, it's going to allow Adam Brindle through and maybe Russell Tamplin. Brindle does go through, but now Will Chappell finds himself in a Paul Sheard sandwich because the 2 cars either side of him both run by the Paul Sheard operation, and Russell Tamplin looks to the inside into Copse Corner, weaves back to the left hand side, and will look to try and get the momentum out of Copse Corner and make the move stick down towards Beckett's. Doesn't quite work though, so Will Chappell does settle back into line, but he's got some work to do now to recover from that moment. And look at this up front, that really is bunching together now. Goddard has bridged the gap, and it looks as though James Aspinall and John Davies have managed to go with him. Liam Murphy also in that scrap as well, so a podium potentially still on the cards for the man who started on the front row alongside Alan Henderson, who is streaking away in car number 90. The AK Automotive squad, who also run Daniel Irving, who's running just outside the top 10. So AK Automotive having a pretty decent time of it here in the opening round of the championship. Alan Henderson is pretty much the only lonely Mazda MX-5 driver in this race. Uses a bit of the curb down towards Copse Corner. The cement dust being kicked up further back. That was James Blake Baldwin, who's holding on to that second place for the time being, but by the skin of his teeth by the looks of it. On board with Alan Henderson. Alan has a very smooth driving style, which, as we heard from Jonathan Greensmith earlier on, will suit these Mark III machines, which you can't throw around quite as aggressively as the older Mark I cars. A silky smooth style for Alan Henderson is allowing him to dominate this opening round of the season. Down towards Brooklands, breaking a straight line, down a gear, into the left-hander. This isn't quite so smooth, is it? This is JJ Clements, who's back into second place, but he's got James Blake Baldwin attacking up the inside, with Goddard and Aspinall well and truly in the mix now. Clements just about holds his ground on the outside line, and Blake Baldwin could be about to get hung out to dry here. NASCAR style, if you get hung out of the groove and you've got a train of cars behind you, you could lose several positions. Clements is back into second, but Simon Goddard wants third. And James Aspinall is going to potentially make this three abreast down towards Copse Corner. This is getting very, very close indeed. It might just work, you know, for James Aspinall. It does. Brilliant driving from James, and he goes into third place. Goddard goes fourth. Blake Baldwin is fifth, but maybe about to lose that one as well. When you lose your momentum, you really lose your momentum in this Mazda MX-5 Super Cup. And yes, he does lose another place to John Davies. Liam Murphy now goes up the inside of Blake Baldwin. So James Blake Baldwin, who a lap or so ago was fighting for second place, now finds himself right at the back, or nearly right at the back of that group of cars. Liam Murphy wasn't actually quite able to complete the manoeuvre. Down towards Brooklands they go. Goddard looking to the outside of James Aspinall. James will lean on him though and make sure that there's no room on the outside through the left-hander, and then hug the inside line through Luffield. You can see the dirt that's been kicked up over the curb on the inside there from people trying to take as tight a line as possible through the right-hander. They fan out briefly on the exit of Luffield, back through Woodcote, 3.5 minutes still to go. So there are several laps for this to change around still. Further back, Adam Brindle has now got himself ahead of Jack Harding as James Blake Baldwin begins his fight back up the inside of John Davies through Copse. George Lyne, meanwhile, has set the fastest lap of the race. George is running down towards the back end of the top 10, but has got himself into some clean air by the looks of it and set a very good lap time indeed. Liam Murphy now goes up the inside of John Davies, makes that one stick. As Blake Baldwin clobbers the curb on the exit of the right-hander at Beckett's, that could hurt his speed onto the Wellington straight and allow John Davies back alongside. It didn't, because Davies was actually quite slow out of the corner, and Liam Murphy gets alongside of him. Speaking of going slowly, that is an issue for James Blake Baldwin. He is very much off the pace heading down the Wellington straight into Brooklands. Liam Murphy and John Davies both go through. Now, is that a drama, or was it a missed gear, or something slightly less sinister for James Blake Baldwin? We hope it's the latter. No, he's heading into the pit lane. James Blake Baldwin in big trouble here, and his first round of the season is going to end potentially with a DNF. So the reigning Mark I Series champion, one of the pre-season favourites in the Super Cup, has hit drama early on in his 2015 campaign. We don't know what the issue is, but it's certainly put him out of contention for a decent finish now in this race. 2 minutes still on the clock, and the fight for second place rages on, but now minus the black and orange number 3 car. Clements it is in second, Goddard third, Aspinall fourth, Murphy fifth. They're the two we can see on screen right now, and John Davies in sixth place is using a slightly agricultural line out of Beckett's. underneath the bridge on the Wellington Straight. Aspinall has to go defensive though, because Liam Murphy's looking to the outside line. Murphy running out of time really to make any more progress through the field, but considering he was pretty much last halfway around the first lap after his spin at Beckett's, this has not been a bad fight back. Of course, the car he tangled with was JJ Clements, who's only a couple of places up the road. That shows how good a fight back this has been for Liam Murphy. There's Alan Henderson, 2 laps to go for the race leader. Down towards Copse Corner comes JJ Clements. Is Goddard going to be able to close in on him? The gap is coming down, and Liam Murphy is right up the inside of James Aspinall through Copse Corner. They're still side by side on the exit, and that means that John Davies is actually the quicker of the 3 and could buy into that one as well. 95 car is Andy Bailey, about to go a lap down to the race leader. The beautifully turned out mintalloys.co.uk number 95 car, making its debut in the series, now goes a lap down to the dominant race leader Alan Henderson, who has just over a lap of the Silverstone National Circuit standing between him and victory in what is not his first ever MX-5 race in a Mark III car. He competed in one weekend of racing back in 2012, but this is the start of a full campaign for the championship, and touch wood, it looks like it's going to get off to the perfect start for Alan. 1 lap remains of the 1.6 mile Silverstone National Circuit. He's just in Newnham further back. He is currently running in 17th place with Jeff Gurrier just behind him. Jeff, who got a little bit held up in the incident up at Beckett's on the opening lap. Pair of Paul Sheard racing cars. In total, there are 6 Paul Sheard cars entered in the race. And miraculously, there's a battle here that doesn't include one of them, but it does include Jonathan Greensmith in the blue number 9 car, who's trying to hang on to a place inside the top 10, but it looks like he may have difficulty because John Munro has gone past him now. Out through Beckett's goes Jack Harding though. He's keeping Will Chappell at bay. They are fighting for 9th place, as up front Simon Goddard has caught JJ Clements, and has not just caught him, he's attacking him round the outside at Brooklands. That will give him the inside line for Luffield, and Simon Goddard could have timed that one to perfection, because JJ Clements is not going to have much time left to fight back. He'll tuck into the slipstream and try and get the run to the flag, but it looks like Simon Goddard may have snatched second at the death. Alan Henderson is a clear winner though of the opening round of the Mazda MX-5 Super Cup. He wins by nearly 10 seconds, but who is second at the line? It is just about Simon Goddard. A winning margin of 9.9 seconds, but Goddard has only a 7/100ths of a second margin over JJ Clements in 3rd. Liam Murphy takes 4th, John Davies 5th, James Aspinall is 6th, and George Lyne is 7th, Adam Brindle 8th. Will Chappell did get ahead of Jack Harding for 9th on the last lap, but Jack scrapes a top 10 finish in his first ever race in a car of any sort, let alone a Mazda MX-5, and in a field of this quality, that suggests a lot of promise for Jack Harding throughout the rest of the season. He will be on board for the full year with the Blendini Scholarship, so Jack Harding is going to be one to watch throughout the season. Confirmation of your result then. Henderson wins it, takes the maximum 100 points for the race win. George Lyne in 7th gets the bonus point for the fastest lap though, and that could all prove critical when we get to Donington Park at the end of the year. Jonathan Greensmith is 12th, so he did gain 8 places from his starting position, but still not the result that the Mazda and Porsche champion was hoping for. And James Blake Baldwin is a non-finisher in the opening round of the championship, and that is a disastrous start to his 2014 campaign. Perfect start for Alan Henderson though. He takes the victory here at Silverstone, and he'll now try and do the double in this afternoon's second 20-minute race.